to avoid going to that section in the bookstore because there's so many new diet books that come out. I mean, there's they billions of dollars made off of us buying these books. Anyways, I'm not saying they're bad, but I have a sprinkling of them in my house, and I keep the good ones, the ones that made sense based on who I am. So really, if we look at nutrition really is the bodily process of taking in the stuff we eat, taking in and then assimilating the nutrients. So breaking them down and then from our food, like assimilating those nutrients to support our body for our health and for our growth. That's really what nutrition is. And in other classes, if you've been to my basic nutrition class, I talk about, okay, well, there's 6 things that makes up nutrition. And you guys, if you've taken that class, probably know, because I drum a lot, I repeat some things and teach it from a different angle so that you really understand it enough that you could actually teach others. And that's my goal, is so that you could actually teach your nieces or your nephews or your grandkids or your neighbor who doesn't know anything about nutrition. 6 components. The first 3 are those macronutrients. Remember, carbohydrates, proteins, fats. The micronutrients are the vitamins and minerals, and then water. That's what makes up nutrition, those 6 things only. And then we can break it down a little bit more. So we know that carbohydrates aren't all equal, right? There's the complex ones, simple ones, that's the bread, and fruit falls under that as well. The simple carbs, which means they're so simply created, structured, that as soon as you take a bite, it breaks down really quick in your body. And that's when you get that shot of sugar. And there's more to that. And then there's the complex ones that are full of nice fiber and like more stuff. So it takes longer for your body it's slower to break it down. So you don't get the big shot of, the big sugar kind of feeling. And then fats, we know fats are basically unhealthy and then healthy. So unhealthy are these days, I don't think they use trans fats anymore when they make French fries at McDonald's and all that. I remember this was like probably 20 years ago. This was a big thing. What kind of fat are these fast food places using? And they've kind of cut out a lot of the trans fats, but you still have to read your packages. A lot of the packaged food still uses the bad fat. But healthy fats, for example, olive oil is very, very healthy for us. I feel like, especially if you have arthritis or any kind of joint issues, olive oil is your savior. It really is, if you get a good quality olive oil, which is worth the purchase. And my belief with olive oil is, I'll just say it because it just came in my mind, is don't cook with it. Try not to cook with olive oil. Try to use it for your salad dressings and more raw. More raw. We have way better oils to cook with than olive oil. Now, if you have to use olive oil to do a light cook, that's fine, as long as the heat goes from 0 up to like halfway only, because that's the smoking point of olive oil. You go a little higher than that, it's called the smoking point. Higher than the smoking point, your pan literally smokes. And that's really, really, really bad for us. It's like putting toxins in your body. You're going to eat that piece of fish that you just turned your back as the phone rang, and then you went, oh shoot, I had it on 6, 7 on the stove or whatever, on your stove, and now it kind of got too hot, and you just think, you quickly take the pan off and you think, oh, it's going to be okay. Sure, the food might taste okay, but you're putting all that oxidation into your body, which is what we call free radicals. It's all that oxidation that's basically putting toxins into your body, and it's just harmful. It takes longer to cleanse that out of your blood. Then you're better off, I hate to say it, but throwing that out and starting over. Get a new pan out. So I have done it too many times, like when I'm making oatmeal or whatever, and I'm porridge, and I'm not paying attention, and it boils over. It's like I've done that so many times. So with olive oil, I just don't cook with it anymore. So proteins, what are the types of proteins? 2 types, animal-based and plant-based. Both are great. I'm a believer that both are great if coming from the proper sources. I do not buy meat everywhere. I'm very particular about the eggs I buy. I'm very particular about how people have raised the animals. I'm not vegan, I'm not vegetarian, but I still, have a feel for our animals and our fish. And so fish, I want them to be free in the ocean, before I'm going to eat them.
Right.
as opposed to like those farms where they're just cram jammed, and I just don't like that. And the same with for
Production.
cattle and chicken, all that. But I won't get into that because for people that are vegetarian, vegan, it's just very talk about it. Like you watch these shows, I can't honestly, you guys, because it's animals. I can't watch those shows, those documentaries where they show the cattle being,
Yeah.
treated poorly, or the little chicken, the little hens. I can't, like, I seriously, it's like when the SPCA commercials come on at Christmas time with the animals that are people were not looking after them properly and they've been rescued, and I can't watch those commercials. Like I can't even, I have to turn the sound right down because it's always sad music, and it upsets me for quite a long time. So but anyways, just getting back to the dietary theories. This slide is the most important for the whole class. So I want you to think about this one. Now you're going to get it in the notes, so you can take your own notes as well. All diets or dietary theories shift these three things. So this is how you guys are going to learn. If I can find that handout I have from school, it was one page and it listed about 100 diets. And then it had these columns and it talked about these three things. And on one sheet, like say you decide you're going to become a nutritionist and you're going to go see someone and they ask about the XYZ diet and you've never even heard of it. You could just quickly look at this sheet and see kind of what it means. So this is the hack. They only shift three things. Every single diet out there, you can think of any particular one that you want to know about. The first thing is the ratio, the balance. The balance in every diet is based on the ratio between the three macros. That's all it is. The carbs, proteins, and fats. What's the ratio of those? For example, remember in the 70s or the 80s when everything was low fat? Low fat this, low fat that. Everything was low fat. Cottage cheese was low fat. Yogurt was low fat. If you went to the grocery store, you bought everything low fat. So you can tell the shift was protein was higher, carb was higher. That was back in the 70s, 80s, right? We've shifted since that in terms of our mentality, but fat was really low. Put the fat really down here. That was the balance. What about, do you guys remember the diets that was the 20-20-20? And it was kind of, I can't think of the name of this one, but where it was just that every time you ate a meal, you had to have a third, like, like it was like 20, if you're gonna have 20 carbs grams, you had 20 fat grams, 20. Any of you guys that have done diets, you totally get it, because we've all seen these and we've all read about them. But I think it was called 20-20-20, or it was some, I can't think of quite the name, but I was really trying to follow that. What's another big balanced one? Well, we're going to get into it, but like right now with like Atkins, old Atkins and keto diet, they're really high in fat, like very high fat, pretty high protein, and very low carb.
Right.
Again, the balance between these three things. There's even a thing called the carnivore diet right now where people just eat meat. They just eat meat. I think they don't eat anything else for a while just to, I don't know how they do it. Anyways, that's like protein, it's 100% almost protein. And because there's always carb and fat and everything. So there's very high protein, very lower of the carb.